The pastor and writer Chuck Swindoll once found himself with far too many commitments in too few days. He became rather nervous and tense about it. You may have been in a position like that. He said, "I was snapping at my wife and our children, choking down food at meal times and feeling rather irritated at those unexpected interruptions that happened throughout the day." He recalled in his book, Stress Fractures, these words. This is what he wrote. "Before long, things around our home started reflecting the patter of my hurry-up style. It was becoming unbearable. I distinctly remember after supper one evening the words of our younger daughter, Colleen. Now she wanted to tell me something really important that had happened to her at school that day. She began hurriedly, "Daddy, I want to tell you something, and I'll tell you really quickly." Suddenly realising her frustration, I answered, Chuck said, "Honey, you can tell me. And you don't have to tell me really fast. Say it slowly." He said, "I'll never forget her answer. Then listen slowly." What are you like at listening? There is an old saying that God gave us 2 ears and 1 mouth. Let's use them in that proportion. But the reality is, though, that we like to talk. And we like to talk about the things in our life that matter to us. And we do have that need within us to share them with those around us. And it's important that we do that. This, though, can create problems at the same time, as our need to speak oversteps our ability to listen. We can become so engrossed in conversation that it becomes very, very one-sided. How then can we ever hear the voice of God? How does God speak to us today? Is he speaking to us today? I quite often hear people say something like this: "The Lord told me to do it." Now, I can never argue with that. However, God's direction to me or to anyone always lines up with what he says in the scriptures. By measuring what we understand God is saying to us against the scriptures, it becomes a test of authenticity. God is still speaking in our time, but many of us are too busy to stop and listen. I love the story of Elijah as recorded in 1 Kings chapter 19, where God arranged to meet with him on the mountain. Now a mighty wind came and even tore rocks apart. That is a wind. But God was not in the wind. Then there was an earthquake, followed by a fire. But God was not in the earthquake or in the fire. It was then that God spoke to Elijah through a still, small voice. I don't have to tell you that we live in a noisy, noisy world. Noise everywhere, and I call it silent noise as well. What's silent noise? Well, as an example, when we have junk mail delivered to our place, and as I read those pages, it seems to shout at me from the page, "Buy me, buy me, buy me." By the way, I don't usually go out and buy things that come in the junk mail. But let me encourage you today to tune into the Holy Spirit and listen to what he's really saying to you. Not what you think that he may be saying, but what he is saying. Very often we colour what we hear by our understanding of life and, of course, our life experience. In Psalm 96, David wrote these words: "Sing unto the Lord a new song." Where does the new song come from? From that still, small voice. When we intentionally tune into God, we are blessed in new ways. Have a wonderful week, and remember that we are blessed to be a blessing.